I'm Amigo Aaron, joined by a man who proved just now there could be only one. I give you the BRENT.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Thank God there's only one of you.
Sword M5. I'm pumped.
I can tell. You were trying to gut me with one just now. So, last week, we spun the wheel. We made the deal,
Yes.
BRENT. And in an exciting turn, this week, we'll be taking a look at the Japanese sensation. Well, not really. It's the Sword M5, everyone.
The personal home computer.
The Sword
yes.
M5. Now, before we dive into the M5, we have dipped our toe in the M5 pool at one point. Ting. And do you remember who it was that suggested this for the Amigathon? It's probably written on the piece there.
It sure is. Do you want me to retrieve that piece and find out?
Yeah. So, well, see, I caught him off guard. This game, or this system, was suggested by a listener for our Amiga, I did it again, for our ARG Thanks for Giving Marathon. Listen, it's all Amigos all the time.
It's amazing you can crash and burn so quickly.
Oh, man.
Anthony Jarvis.
Anthony Jarvis, there it is, our good buddy, suggested this one. And so Brent, in his infinite wisdom, thought, hey, I'm going to stick these back on the wheel so we can have a full, complete look at them. And lo and behold, it came to pass.
And it's worthy. It is worthy of a wheel piece.
You think it's worthy?
Oh, yes.
Okay, all right. So,
oh, yes.
So I ask you this every week, and I know you know a little bit about it because we did have a look at it. But what do you know? What was your knowledge going on the old Sword computer?
It is painfully unrepresented online. It has no dedicated emulator that's worth a darn. It has.
I tried some of the dedicated ones.
They're horrible.
They old.
Yeah, they're horrible.
They old.
It has very little information about it. This is a community that needs to grow. This needs to grow. It's good enough to grow.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and kill the Sword. And by the way, we are going to be looking at the Sword M5, which is sort of the crown jewel of the Sword.
Yeah, it's the one.
It wasn't the last one.
No,
but it was. I would assume the big dog of the Sword Empire.
Seemed it.
So, pardon me. Let's take a look at this bad boy, Brentster. Released by the Sword Computer Corporation, and who else, and developed by them as well. Released in November 1982 at an introductory price of 49,800 yen, dude. In American, good old USA cash, greenbacks.
That's some money.
That's $450, and in today's wad, it's $1,200.
I think $450 for this computer back in the day would have been a steal.
Not bad. Not bad. This thing, the operating system on this, get this basic F, basic G, and basic I. It's got the basic brothers there. You had a CPU that was the old. Once again, here it comes marching this thing out. The old Zilog Z80A at 3.58 megahertz.
Yeah.
Not too bad, man.
Yeah, they ran it.
It had a 6-octave sound.
The sound on this was incredible.
3 channels and a noise channel. Now get this, the RAM, this is all you need, man, 20K.
It works.
And then you got, of course, you got the ROMs that built in there. It had TV out, it had video out, pretty good. And of course, it had a cassette recorder connector as well. So let's talk a bit about how this computer came to pass. So get this. It was the Sword Computer Systems Corporation was founded in, guess you're gonna love this, April 15th of 1970.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Founded by a guy named Takayoshi Shina and his mom.
Awesome.
They were the ones running this sucker. And now this is what's truly amazing. And again, I never knew any of this. In its first 10 years, it became one of Japan's fastest growing firms. It claimed it was the fastest. And what it was doing was selling microcomputers in homes. That's what it was. And this is the 70s. So you can imagine what you were getting back in them days. Sheena also mentioned in an interview in 79 that SWORD stood for software and hardware. So
no,
they took the SO out of software and the RD and hardware, and that's how they got it.
We're gonna pretend that wasn't it.
This thing had a cartridge slot, and it had a pair of controllers. First of all, let's take a look at the machine itself. So here's your M5. It's a decent looking little machine. Tell the people what we don't got on the old M5.
Well, it has one of those rubberized keyboards, sort of like the ZX Spectrum.
Yeah, they're no good.
But well,
They're no. Come on.
I have heard that this is better than the ZX Spectrum.
What?
It is no keyboard.
Oh, okay.
It
About
has
that.
the most responsive garbage keyboard there is.
Yeah.
However, they didn't put a space bar on it. It's a space.
Not important in Japan.
It's a space shift key. It is literally where the shift key would be, and it's smaller than a shift key.
If you look at that keyboard, if you're watching the video version of this, and this looks like your standard wedge computer. If you look at this thing, they had room for a ton of keys. You can't put it.
Yeah.
It's unusual.
It's
apparently this isn't the only computer that did this, but it's a strange one.
It is. I cannot imagine trying to do any kind of programming or typing on this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, first you've got to battle the rubberized keyboard thing. That's a down thing right there.
Yeah.
But then having to use your pinky for space, that is, why do that? If anyone knows why that is a thing, please let us know.
In Japan, they just don't leave any spaces. Just keep on trucking. So you got that. Now this also came with a couple of joysticks, and I'm using that in the air quotes. So these guys, they said, we've seen what's happening in the U.S., because this thing came out in '82. What was all the rage in '82? Idiot garbage pads, right? Am I wrong?
Well,
they were all the rage. And so Sword looked at what Coleco did and looked at what Intellivision did, and they said, too complicated. Too much going on.
Too many buttons.
And lo, it came to pass. The Sword M5 game
circle
thing.
They took the absolute worst of the Intellivision and said, okay, we're going to keep this little disc pad movie thing, but all these buttons and functions, get those out of here. We don't need them.
No.
One button.
No overlays. And let's put it somewhere weird.
Yeah.
How do you even hold this thing?
For those who haven't seen one of these things, imagine a deck of cards, right? Because it's a little bit longer than a deck of cards. It's about the size of a deck of tarot cards.
Tarot cards.
And
all the things to say.
Well, at the bottom section of the controller, you have the disc pad circle thing, and then above it and to the left is the one and only fire button.
Yeah,
absolutely horrible.
Mustard yellow too.
Well,
just to seal the deal. So this controller is quite a. I mean, I don't think a lot of games use the fire button. Let's just put that way. But I get a kick out of it.
Do you think that you maybe?
I guess you like
turn
do it
sideways or
and shove it straight up the old. Yeah, I don't know, man. This was. I'd have to hold. I mean, it looks durable. But I mean, there you go.
Well, yeah, it's going to be real durable because no one's ever going to use it.
Listen, what is it with these disc-based joysticks? These are the worst, man.
I don't know.
And I love the Intellivision, but if it's got an Achilles heel, and it does, it's that god-awful controller.
Yeah.
And it's because they break real easy, too, man. So it's a dud.
And it's attached to the system.
Yeah, well, some of them are. So, anyway, this thing, when this thing released, it did pretty well. So, you know what that meant, okay? We got
track it on down the line.
You got that right. And so, hey, let's go. Let's take this bad boy to the UK. Because anything goes in the UK computer market.
That's the truth.
Everything. It's crazy time all the time. So in '83, they launched the M5 in the UK to positive reviews.
Yeah, do you know what the price was on that bad boy?
It debuted at £199, and then it dropped to £150 shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
They were selling it super cheap.
Yeah, man. And this thing, at the time, when they released the M5, it had 4K of memory and no space bar, like we mentioned. Not good. But it did okay. So it's sold in the United Kingdom as the CGL M5. Okay?
Yep.
It was also popular, and I love this. Remember last week we talked about the Micro B being popular in, was it Sweden?
Yeah.
This time around, hey, listen, the M5 was all the rage in Czechoslovakia.
Why not?
It was one of the first affordable computers they could buy over there, and so they bought the crap out of it. So the Sword the UK model was a little bit different. It was blue and gray, and the original Japanese one, which is, as you can tell here, was just dark gray.
It was
Yeah. So here's the sad thing. Now get this. So in '83, this thing was released, okay, and it was received fairly well. But here's the problem: it never rose higher than 15th place on the best-selling micros under 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
It was lower. Here's the list of what it was under. Okay. It was under the Tandy color computer, the Tandy color computer. But but the Dragon's what sold over there.
I understand.
It was under the Color Genie. And my personal favorite.
That sounds like a wheel piece.
This computer has the distinction of selling less numbers in the UK than the Mattel Aquarius.
Yes. And if you want to know about the Aquarius, look it up
Holy
on
moly.
ARG.
I mean, the Aquarius is the absolute dirt worst. That's as low as cheap, low garbage. Unbelievable, but there you go. So these things, they tried to sell them all over, actually, but it is what it is. They didn't do great. And like I said, the majority of the games were, pretty much it was cartridge or cassette.
Yeah.
As a stage, which pretty much everyone's used to that sort of thing, man. Let's talk about some of the games on this thing, Brent.
It had quite a few games.
Now, we've actually got to play some of these games because we played this earlier.
Yeah.
If you'll recall, I believe we played Super Cobra and Pooyan on this system, and we thought they were both really good.
Pooyan had its problems.
Yeah.
It had a few inaccuracies, but it ran well.
It did. I believe it had a nice little tune as well.
All the music on the system is incredible.
Actually, we're looking at, if you're watching our video, we're watching some video clips of their various games, and I almost picked this boxing game, if for any reason, because it looked like they were two boxing women. And I thought that was interesting, but it was not. I will say the games on this, they're colorful.
Yeah.
The
great colors.
They've got good sound, like Brent said. The music this thing can pump out the music. I mean, that's one place where it's got the spectrum dead to rights. It crushes.
Oh, it kills the music. Yeah.
It has graphically. I mean, it is similar to. It's in the. There's no really color clash or anything on it, but it looks pretty good.
Now, the Spectrum has a very unique palette, and I think that this has a better palette. But there is some color clash in this. At least I've seen it in my game. But
I read that there was some, but I didn't. My game seemed fine. I didn't have anything at all.
It was very very low.
I tried a few other games before I picked the one I did, and I thought they were. I mean, this game, it's a playable system. It's
absolutely.
It's one thing. Listen, you can understand why this thing failed in the UK, and it did okay in Japan. Ironically. By the way, I should mention that. Toshiba ended up acquiring Sword in '85, and it literally turned the Sword into its personal computer system corporation division. So Sword effectively became the computer arm of Toshiba. So it's not like Sword went out there and sucked.
That's pretty awesome.
It's not like they went out there and sucked and died. They went out there and got bought, and then basically spearheaded Toshiba's. And Toshiba was a big player in personal computers and stuff. So if you think about it, the Sword played some role in that, maybe a really important role.
Well, I think that I don't think anyone who owned a Sword would be like, man, this is crap.
Yeah.
I just don't think a lot of people owned them.
Yeah, and they really, even in Japan, it wasn't like a mega seller.
Correct.
But people did see the good side of it. And I will mention also that after Sword got purchased, by the way, in '85, they were purchased. So this was near the end of their run, because remember, they were around like since the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a good run, and it finished strong enough to get bought out. And Sheena ended up staying with Toshiba for a couple years after they got picked up. So he even worked for them, in their computer division. So I'd say this is a positive ending for Sword.
Absolutely. I mean, it sucks that they're not still around, but the computer market back in the '80s, where everyone was throwing their hat in the ring, not everyone can be a winner.
What I like about a tale like this, first of all, I like the fact that this guy started this company with his mom. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
But this is one thing that's different. I mean, obviously, this is an obvious statement, but you really did have it in Japan and the UK and America. It was the Wild West of PCs, and really not. It's funny, some of these computers come to America and some of them don't, but America was the least Wild West of probably anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get we got some computers, but I mean, it was pretty obvious what was going to go and what wasn't,
I mean, even Australia had a more.
Yeah, I mean, it's more interesting to me than what we've got. Speaking of Australia, by the way, this is slightly off topic, and some people already heard this, but I'm looking through a computer magazine this week. You know, we just covered the Micro B, and we've covered Dick Smith System 80 and the Dick Smith Wizard.
Super 80.
And I found an article in Radio and Electronics magazine from '85, in American magazine, with a Dick Smith ad. And I never knew Dick Smith sold stuff in the States, and lo and behold, there they were. So Dick Smith had a presence, at least in San Jose, California.
Yeah, it had to be a West Coast
And
thing.
it was the classic Dick Smith crazy ad. Dick Smith's face everywhere. It's busy as hell. You know, but we didn't get that kind of Dick Smith action. I mean, I guess the closest we came would be maybe a TI or something. But really, you don't really think about TI. They were a pretty big corporation. They're still around.
They were huge here.
Exited, you know, so kind of neat. So anyway, we did have a good time looking through the library of this to pick out a couple games. And I'm not gonna lie, I waffled a couple times as to what I was gonna end up picking on this thing, because there was some good stuff, you know, and I wanted to pick something. This is one of those situations where when am I gonna be this way again? And so I had to go to one of my perennial favorites. I'm not gonna lie, and I did.
Yeah,
and so,
I know.
Oh, listen, come on, don't sit there and badmouth it. This is a good game,
No,
you know.
No, I think it's an awesome game. I just think you did the Sword M5 a disservice.
No, I did it a great service because I picked one of the best games for it. I'm gonna start the show this week, despite your grumblings, big grumbler, and I picked Power Pack. Power Pack.
Now tell the people what it really is.
What it actually is Super Pac-Man.
Yeah.
But it's called Power Pack.
That's
on
right.
a few systems. And the Sword was one of them. By the way, had you ever heard this thing referred to as Power Pack?
No.
I haven't either. I thought it was real freaking wacky. So let's talk about Super Pac-Man for a minute. Super Pac-Man. Now listen. Yeah, I know when we were young, Brent here was the biggest Pac-Man fan there was. I mean, you can't deny it. You freaking loved Pac-Man.
This Pac-Man in particular.
You had Pac-Man bedspread, Pac-Man trash can, Pac-Man
I had Pac-Man the board game.
Pac-Man board game. Everything was Pac-Man. He was obsessed with Pac-Man. He was a little punk, but he loved Pac-Man. I was never a big Pac-Man fan because I wasn't very good at it. And plus, there was no killing in there. I was no good at it. So, lo and behold, you know, someone said, listen, let's make a Pac-Man that Aaron is into. And I may be the biggest fan of this game of all the time.
Oh, no, this is a really good game.
It's not popular, though. And so, in 1982, Namco put out, bam, Super freaking Pac-Man.
Yep.
I love this game. Designed by Toru Watani. This guy developed, he was the Pac-Man man. He did Pac-Man, Pac-Land, Pac-Mania. He also did Pole Positions 1 and 2. Did you know that? He did QDQ, GB, and Libble Rabble. So a couple of those I've never heard of. The music on this was composed by another famous guy, Nobuyuki Onogi. He did the music for Galaga. He did Mappy, Xevious, Bosconian. So these are like the legendary games of the 80s that we're talking about here. So the pedigree off the charts on this bad boy. And so here comes Super Pac-Man. So what is Super Pac-Man? Well, you're Pac-Man. You're chased by the ghost. And there are some similarities to the original Pac-Man in that you're in a maze. But there's a lot of differences. For starters, big chunks of this maze are walled off. You can't get to the stuff in them. There are no dots in this. There are power pills. There are dots. In this, you're eating various items like bananas,
mostly fruits,
bells, the donuts. There's a bunch of different stuff. And to get into these walls, you have to eat the keys that open the doors. Now, some keys don't open anything. Some keys will open stuff that it's not necessarily the thing closest to the key. No. Even the two doors that go out the sides of the screen are locked. You got to unlock those. Once you eat these keys, it gives you the ability to go into the little closed off areas to eat the stuff that's in there. You have to eat all the stuff to clear the board. Now, that's regular pack stuff, though. Where's the Super Pack come in? And by the way, you eat the power pellet, you can eat the ghost. Same old crap, right? No. So there are these big pulsating green super pills, right?
2 per board.
If you eat one of these suckers, bam, you're Super Pac-Man, all right? Now, in the arcade, when you eat this, you've got a button, a speed-up button, so you can go super fast, and you're a big, huge Pac-Man who ignores all walls.
No. All gates. All gates. Locked walls.
All the gates. That's what I mean, all the locked walls. He can go right through the ghost. He doesn't care. He's Super Pac. And then when it runs out, you're back to being normal Pac. If you eat a power pill while you're Super Pac, then you're really set to go because you're going everywhere, eating everything. It's awesome. And it's fast. It made a lot of fun. and this was the game. And so occasionally there would be a special item that would appear in the middle of the screen, sort of like the old cherries.
Yep.
And you would eat that. And it was a star, and it would rotate. It was
a match game.
Yeah, it would rotate between these two items in these little windows beside it, and so you could get points if you matched them up.
Yep.
It was good. It was a good addition. That was the game. Great game.
Absolutely.
This game was, let's say, it was received in a mixed way. It
was too different. It
Right.
was too different and also too the same.
Right.
It was crazy.
I loved it though. And
it was
my
good.
favorite. So when I found out that they made this for the
Sword
M5 here, I was like, man, I'm going to try this sucker out. And so I gave it a shot. Now, the funny thing about, and I don't know why they called it Power Pack, by the way, but they did. So let's talk about the sword version of Power Pack or Super Pack. First of all, finding anything on the sword was almost impossible, wasn't it, Brent?
It was a chore.
Super tough, but I managed to cull a little bit out of this. So this was also released in '82. Okay, I was surprised. So this came out right after Super Pac-Man did. So this came out pretty quick on the sword. The sword, it's funny, for a little machine, it wasn't super popular. It got a lot of arcade ports and support from like big companies.
Yeah,
which is
did.
a surprise, including Brent's company. The company that did Brent's games, another big arcade company. So when this came out, now this, Super Pac-Man didn't get a huge release across home computers, but it did get, like, for example, I never knew there was a C64 version of this. This is a game I didn't think really got ported that much, but it actually got more ports than I would have anticipated.
It absolutely did, yeah.
So let's talk about the sword version of this and what makes it different. The sword version is very, very close to the arcade.
Yeah,
I have to say, I was very pleasantly surprised. Down to some of the more obscure or eccentric things that happen in the arcade. I'll give you the example in a minute. Basically, you are Pac-Man. You run through the maze. You have to get the keys to unlock the chambers, power pills, whole nine yards. Now, it's easy to talk about the similarities. Pretty much, mostly the similarities are there. Most everything's there that you would expect.
Even graphically, it does a really good job.
It does a good job. Now, what is slightly different or different entirely? Well, of course, this game is a vertical game, and so you're playing this on a horizontal system. And they did the right thing here by putting the old gap on the side, and then that way you've got that's right. You've got all that room for the game itself. So, what else is different? The music is not exact. It's sort of the tunes are sort of similar. They're not identical, but they're pleasant.
Yeah.
So I don't have any problem with the tunage on it. They did a good job of sort of replicating the little Pac-Man, the little songs that play in the game, and like when you beat a level and whatnot, and when the game opens. They're not perfect. They're pretty good. One thing that I thought that struck me was strange is that when you play this game, like you don't really use the button. When you in the arcade, it's a button. When you become Super Pac-Man, you can go at the same speed, or you can hit the button and go with mega speed. Right? In this game, you just sort of automatically go a little faster, and it's not as fast as the arcade. The arcade, it's ludicrous speed.
It's pretty fast, though.
It's pretty fast, but it's not nearly as fast as the arcade. Because for one thing, I could control it. In the arcade, you're just like, oh god! Now, so that's one difference. Now, I will say this, and they get this right. In the arcade, there's this quirky thing that happens occasionally, where the ghosts will all stop and just sort of sit there and do this weird dance.
Yeah, they twitch.
And they do that in the game too, in the sword version. So they did a real good job.
Attention to detail is
the
amazing.
Ghosts aren't exactly like they are in the arcade, but they're good, complete with they've even got the eyes there. They're not just ghosts. They just because sometimes they'll cheap out on this stuff. What's not here? Well, basically, the main thing that's not here are the intermissions. I played this for a long time, never saw any intermissions. So I'm going to go on the assumption that there are no intermissions in the game. And the intermissions in the arcade game, I will say, they do add a lot of flavor to it. They're real funny.
And it gives you a nice little break in between every two or three levels.
So I don't know if, I'm sure there were reasons that they didn't, but there's probably just for storage reasons. Because as far as I can tell, this came on, I think this came on cartridge. But I don't know if it came on cassette or not, because the box sort of looks like a cassette box. Again, your mileage will vary on trying to find this stuff. I had a heck of a time looking for it. But Hey, listen, if you're looking for a decent game of Pac, this is it. I should also mention that they also have the little star that comes out, the bonus point star. You also, it rotates between the different items so you can get that jackpot score.
Yep.
It even has a little noise it makes when you get the item. So they nailed that pretty well. I was thoroughly impressed. In fact, I looked at some of the comparison videos for this, and this is at the bare minimum amongst the best versions of this. And it's surprising. There were a couple of these obscure systems this got ported to, and they were good. You know, they were real good. I'd say the biggest failure of this game is I don't know what they were thinking, but someone decided, listen, we've done a good job making Super Pac-Man here, a Power Pack. Let's have a title screen that came straight off the Dick Smith System 80. This thing is garbage. When I saw that title screen come up, I'm like, oh my God, this looks horrible. What am I going to play? And then the game starts, you're like, oh, okay. But I mean, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Is it the dirt worst?
No, you know, when I fired this up, because I hadn't seen any videos on it or anything, I fired it up, I was like, crap, I got the wrong game.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll just see what this is. I was like, wait a minute, this is great.
Yeah.
This is nearly arcade perfect though in play.
Yeah.
Really, really good graphics. Really, really good sound. It was a bummer. If there are cutscenes in it, I didn't see them, and I went through.
I don't think there's
several levels.
Yeah, I'm good at this game, and I never saw cutscenes.
But it plays great. It plays great. The controls are very snappy.
Yeah.
The little twitches of the ghosts, when I saw that they even included that kind of crap, I was like, someone's done their homework.
Yeah. They didn't want to release a crap version.
And someone really worked hard to get this as close to the arcade as possible.
And they flexed their muscle in this to a certain degree. Because, I mean, this is not necessarily the easiest game to just port. We've seen, you know, like I said, I looked over some of the ports that weren't the best. I mean, you wouldn't think something like the Sword could pull it off. Well, it really did.
And this game has zero color clash.
Yeah, that's why I said it was dead on.
Of course, it does benefit from having a black background.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But the colors are all there. The maze is the right color.
The ghosts are slightly smaller. But even when you turn into Super Pac-Man in the arcade, the ghosts kind of squish down to even make the effect more dramatic. It does that here.
And when you do turn to Super Pac-Man, your Pac-Man's not nearly as huge as he is in the arcade.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
He's a little bit smaller. But, I mean, here's the problem. The game is great. The game is incredible. Yeah. The game is fun. The game itself is fun. It's fun on the Sword.
I want to hear the problem. I think I know what it is.
Why would you ever play this on the Sword and not on MAME?
Oh, well, there was no MAME when this came out, though.
I understand that, but I'm talking about now.
Well, that's not a problem. You know,
it's not a problem with the game.
Yeah.
It's not a problem with the game. It's just I can't say, go emulate a Sword to M5 to play this game, because there's still better ways to play it, and this didn't bring anything new to the table.
Really consider that.
But in my personal recommendation, the Sword M5, we didn't go over this, and I thought everyone was going to, is not emulator friendly.
Yeah, well, it's okay if you have MES set up.
It runs through MES and it runs through MAME. If you can, put in the files that needs to do this. But for standalone emulators, it hasn't been updated in a decade, and you can't do it. I tried because I like using standalone emulators. Usually they're a little bit better, a little bit more precise than what MAME puts out or what MES puts out when MES was here. But the scene for this is non-existent.
Yeah, it is bizarre.
So unless you are comfortable setting stuff up in MAME, don't even try to emulate this.
I will say, first of all, John Boat of Carshaller, in one of his hundreds and hundreds of weekly videos, he did a video on setting up MES, and it's great. He did it for the Coco, but I actually used it to set MES up for our marathon. And it's on our channel, Amigo Retro Gaming. Just look up MES and you'll find it. And it both leads you by the hand through setting this thing up. And you can play Sword. And once you set it up, like I played Sword without any problem.
Yeah.
So it was no problem at all. Getting back to what you're saying, this is obviously not as good as the arcade. But If we just look at the time it was released and it was released on, this was a top shelf game. I will say,
incredible.
Here's my one reservation about this game is that I don't see it playing well on that pad. That might be real tough. Now, and I'm assuming
you're probably
I'm assuming
right.
that joystick setup's the reason, because like I said, I found it odd that the button didn't make you mega fast; it just sort of did it by itself, and I can see why, because that pad doesn't necessarily lend itself to you wanting to move your hands over.
Well, I played everything with a keyboard. As the lords of computers desired. That's right, lords of computer.
You're
but
goofy.
Great version of this game.
Yeah.
Incredible to play.
Yeah.
Incredible that it was so precise.
Yeah. We did have one listener review. Our good buddy, the man, the myth, the legend, Graham W. Vebke. He writes, I was thinking at first, here we go, another Pac-Man clone, but how wrong I was. This 7 out of 10 game is greatly inspired by Super Pac-Man. Well, yeah. With those interesting twists. Use your keys to open doors to gain access to yellow power pills and block parts of the maze. Instead of collecting dots, you collect fruit, bells, or boots. You forgot about the boots. You also have super power pills to make Pac-Man grow in the size and move faster. The controls are fine. The Pac-Man siren is ever present. I found this game quite difficult, and I struggled to get past level 4 on most tries. Yep. Having said that, I think it's better than the 7800 port of this game, which I've never played that. I have to say, I don't think I've ever played a 7800 port of this game. So Graham gives it high marks. By the way, catch Graham's latest article on everythingamiga.com along with Dreamcatcher's weekly offerings. He just put something up that was really good. So, I think we both agree this was the game of the week. Now, let's move on to the main event of the evening. Brent picked a game that when I saw what he picked, I literally shuddered. Brent, would you like to announce what you chose?
I went with Wonder Hole.
He did. He did do that.
Now, Aaron, I want to ask you a few questions before we get started.
Okay.
First of all, do you know why I picked this game?
I've got no idea.
I thought this would be a fun way to segue and for Aaron to talk about the mystery hole. So, Aaron, why don't you give the folks at home...
You're becoming Boat. You realize that? That's the kind of logic Boat uses.
Why don't you give the folks at home just a little taste of what our local mystery hole is?
Well, the mystery hole is a wonder. There's no doubt. If you climb high into the hills outside of Charleston in a place called Hawk's Nest, you're going to come across the ancient wonderment that is the mystery hole. You can't miss it. It's a large building that's got a car sticking out of it. There's animals all over. There's a Yeti, Bigfoots. There's all kinds of crazy stuff all over the place. And the parking lot overlooks a lovely scenic vista as you overlook the Hawk's Nest Valley, the Canal River Valley. When you go in there, they've got your gift shop, and you pay your money to go into the mystery hole. Now, legally, I can't tell you what's in the mystery hole. You can't take pictures in the mystery hole. I'm serious. You can't divulge anything about the mystery hole. So I can't go into it too much, but I will say it's a stunning, incredible event that you could only find in the hills of West Virginia, except there's a ton of these things. But this is the one we've got.
This is our mystery hole.
If you know anything about, what do they call these things? They were sort of like gravity rides, let's say that. Except it's not a ride.
It's not a ride at all.
Then that's what the mystery hole is. But the mystery hole is awesome. I've been there a dozen times. We took Luke there when he was 6 months old.
Now, is the mystery hole still functioning?
It's still functioning.
Because I know it is ran by a guy, and who gives like the mystery hole tour.
Yeah.
And I was under the impression that he had passed away. Was that not true?
It's still up and running. I think they've changed ownership a few times. I wish I'd brought some of my mystery hole paraphernalia because I've got a tons of bumper stickers and whatnot from the mystery hole. I've been out there, like I said, a lot. It's fun. If you actually get to West Virginia anytime in your lives, going up to the mystery hole should be on your list.
First of all, what happened?
Yeah. Well, there's a place up there called Hawk's Nest. It's beautiful up there, isn't it, Brent? But the road is the most treacherous road of all time. You're up in the hill on sheer cliffs, and it curves every 2 seconds because it follows the contour of the valley.
If you get car sick,
I had a blowout
up
there, and it was not good.
No.
I had a lot of fun getting another tire put on the car on the side of the road.
So that's the mystery hole. This is the Wonder Hole. And when I got into this, I was like, we'll talk about the mystery hole. It'll be a good little time. And then I started doing the history of Wonder Hole.
Okay.
And I fell into a Wonder Hole myself.
Oh, man.
Holy cow. This game has a backstory. All right. This was developed by IREM. IREM.
Yep.
They've done a ton of arcade games, probably Moon Patrol being their most popular.
Yeah.
So they did arcade games. Well, was Wonder Hole an arcade game? Yes.
Yeah, I did read that.
However, it is an arcade game that is 100% lost to time.
Really?
It is not emulated. It is not owned. No one, they know that the machine was released. They have at least a arcade article written about it.
Yeah.
But it is on the top 25 most requested unemulated games on Main.
So the ROMs don't exist?
They do not exist. You cannot play this on Main.
Wow.
Okay?
I can't imagine someone not saving Wonder Hole.
Now, on top of that, there is no Clove article, Killer List of Video Games.
Yeah.
And you know those guys have everything.
They have a lot, yeah.
And anytime that this is referenced in lieu of the arcade, they're actually talking about the only port, which is the Sword M5 version.
Oh, look at you.
So this
You
is
lucked into one.
quite literally the only way to play this arcade game that is completely lost. Here's the other thing. Everyone says that this was released in 1983. It wasn't. And I have proof of that because in a home computer from Sword of Japan upcoming software sheet for 1984, It is listed as being released in January. So it was not released in 83. It was actually released in 84 according to this article that I found.
Detective Brent.
Now,
Nice.
on top of that, what is the actual game? Is it worth seeking out? Not really, but let's get into it. You play on a 10 by 10 grid filled with dots. And the dots are purely background. You're actually just traveling on top of them. You are a dune buggy, and you are tasked with running over aliens, things. It's really not clear. And depending on where you run over them on the board is how much you score.
Yeah.
So if you run them in blue, it's one set of points. Yellow, which there's only like 10 yellow dots on the whole board.
Sort of like Scrabble.
Or
it's a double word score if you run over a guy in the yellow.
And then there's 4 pink dots in the middle, and that's where you get your most points. So that's kind of weird in itself. There are 2 types of enemies, black enemies and red enemies. Black enemies literally just roam around and you run over them. They have 0 defenses. The red aliens will shoot, and they will shoot instantly when they see you. It is ridiculously difficult to get these guys not looking until you find out kind of the secret of the whole game. So you're trying to lure these things into the middle and smack them on the higher dots. The other thing you can do is before they become red creatures, they become red eggs, and you can run over them then safely and get points that way. So the whole game is just about running over these aliens and trying not to get shot by them. I guess the red aliens are like the mother aliens, and they're trying to protect their young. So you're really
That's sort of
brutal.
depressing.
Yeah, you're a brutal killer. Why is this game called Wonder Hole? Well, at random intervals, depending on where you've been driving, the board will just open up into a big crevasse. And if you drive into it or you're on it when it opens up, you just fall into the hole and die.
Another way to die. Yeah.
How is this different from the arcade? There's only one difference that I could find. Of course, I couldn't play the original arcade game.
Yeah.
But in the one article I did find that mentioned the arcade game, it is played on a 14 by 14 grid, whereas this is on a 10 by 10 grid. Something else to mention in this game that's kind of important. You are not continuously in motion. You are only in motion when you press left, right, up, or down. The other thing that is vitally important that I did not find out until last night when playing this game is the button is a speed boost. And the button to activate your speed boost is the shift key. So if you don't have that information, you're screwed.
I was screwed.
The game is almost unplayable.
That explains a lot. Yeah.
If I had to say what this was close to, there's a game called Solar Fox.
Yeah, I'll play
it's
that.
sort of like Solar Fox.
That's a stretch, but I can see where you're going. You're right. This isn't something you can easily put together with something else. I'll give you that.
Instructions are on the back of the game. It's one of those. This was number 9 in some kind of collection. I don't know how the sword. Yeah, exactly.
Number 9.
I don't know how the number 9 gets to where it is number 9. Buck Owens, thank you for the description. But it is an amazing high score game because it really makes you push the envelope to try to lure the monsters into the higher scoring dots. After every screen, you crush all the aliens. You get a bonus screen where you're just in a black void and you have to try to run over things, the defenseless aliens, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought the highest you could get on that score on that screen was 1,400 points.
Yeah.
But you can actually get 3,600 points if you crush everything. And they just kind of roam out, so you have to be really fast. Aaron, what did you think of the Wonder Hole?
You played this quite a bit, didn't you?
I did.
Because I looked at your score that you posted, and I'm not talking about what I scored. Because, I mean, your score was ludicrous.
Did you ever get off the first screen?
No.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Well, number one, I didn't know about the speed up tip.
Yes.
But this game, I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
And I had no way to find out how to play.
No.
I had no clue what I was doing.
Lost the time.
I tried like gangbusters to figure this sucker out. And I will say that this seems to be a little more entertaining with what you said. You have actually given this thing some sort of semblance of making me kind of want to give it another shot.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get nothing to happen, and having a speed up would have helped a lot. Clearly, this is not a game that gets played a lot, too, because just finding footage of it was difficult.
Yeah.
So it's one of those games, and finding anything about it was tough.
So just what you have right now, what do you think? I mean, from your current experience
I hated it. I hated the game. I thought it sucked. I didn't like it. It was confusing. It was really hard. I mean, I thought it was really hard, didn't you?
Yeah.
I will say, of course, I didn't know about the bonus screens. That's one thing I forgot to mention. One of the other differences in my game was they didn't have the bonus screens in it.
That's true.
So this does have something that Power Pack it doesn't have, which is the bonus screen. I like the idea. You know, eventually I realized what the eggs were and what you could hit, what you couldn't hit. But man, the red guys are relentless.
They are
crack shots. You get crushed every time you get near them.
They lead you. Plus, if you they will turn into your path and shoot less than. I mean, they shoot the same frame that they turn, so you can never hit them from the front. It's undoable.
Yeah.
You always will die.
Yeah, it's a difficult game. It's an abstract game.
Yeah.
The concepts for the game are hard to grasp. Now, would a bigger board help the arcade version? It depends on how many enemies they added. If they added no enemies, yes, that would help. The fact that some of the board just disappears, I never understood exactly why. And you don't know either.
It's random.
So, and I tried to find instructions on this. There are no instructions. There's no one to help. There's no nothing.
Well,
I had nothing.
I'll tell you how I found the instructions. And I dug deep into the Wonder Hole.
I can tell. I wouldn't have put it like that. I'll be honest with you.
On a Japanese auction site, someone is selling this game for 6,800 yen, which is about 61 American dollars.
All right.
And they have a picture of the game, of the cartridge, because they're just selling the cartridge, loan cart. On the back of the cartridge, it's one of those things where they have the instructions on the back of the cartridge. Now, of course, I can't read Japanese.
What?
But I zoomed in and I pieced together what they were trying to say. And I finally figured out that shift was the button to make things, go faster. And once I figured that out, the game became incredibly more enjoyable.
Why do you think they did that?
What do you mean?
made the button on shift?
Dude, why is spacebar the same size as the shift key?
But I mean, you have a button.
I don't. Oh no. Well, I played on the keyboard.
Yeah.
So I didn't emulate a joystick.
Yeah.
I played on the keyboard and I pressed all the buttons. Just
I guess you have to have 2 buttons. Now think about it. Yeah.
Well, you have your 4 directional keys, and the direction keys before you do anything to them are E for up, S, D for left and right, and then X for down. Which I know that's a thing for older games.
Yeah.
I hate it, but it's a thing.
It is.
So it makes you want to play it with 2 hands.
Yeah.
Okay? So you don't even think about hitting the shift key. I remapped those keys to arrow keys.
Yeah.
And I still was hunting and pecking because I knew that the system had a button and I just couldn't get it to work right.
Yeah.
And eventually when I found the cart that had the Japanese auction site, had the instructions, looked it up, enjoyed the game so much more. I will have to say, it was so frustrating to play this game without the speed up function.
Do you recommend this game?
I absolutely recommend this game for 2 reasons.
All right.
One, I think it's an okay game. It's not going to win any awards, but the music on this game is phenomenal. It's worth looking up just so you can hear the music.
Yeah, the music is good.
Absolutely great.
It's amazing. This little like I said, we've played a bunch of games for it now. It's got good tunes, man.
Yes,
it cranks out good tunes.
If you do nothing else, if you can find a video of just the music playing and you don't want to play the game, look it up. The music is absolutely phenomenal. Number 2, this is one of those games that, first of all, who's ever heard of the Sword M5? And outside of Japan, nobody. So when you have a game that is lost to time,
yeah,
emulated on one system that is basically, forgotten by time, I think you owe it to yourself to play the game knowing that you're playing a game that, less than 1% of 1% of 1% of the world has played.
Oh, well, you've talked me into it. Now I feel privileged to have played this crappy game.
Yes, exactly.
And I liked it.
I think it was.
I didn't like it.
I think it was fun. I think it is abstract. I don't know why you play as a dune buggy, but
I wasn't sure that's what that was.
It was 100% because that's what the box art is.
Oh, there you go.
So,
well, let's. We did get a review from our good buddy Graham. Let's see what Graham had to think about this one. By the way, you're not going to sing any sort of Oasis thing. You're my wonder. Oh, that's what Bo would do. No. Nothing? All right, I'll just read Graham's review then.
Good choice.
So, IREM learned lessons from this 2 out of 10 game.
Oh.
You drive a car over a dotted course, trying to run over the black cross enemies and avoiding orange shooting enemies that appear to hatch from something. Graham's grasp of this game is very similar to mine. These orange enemies also seem to have the ability to create holes in the course. None of this makes any sense. There is color clash with sprites moving over the gaps.
There is sometimes,
and the original arcade game was monochrome, adding to this joy. The annoying music and just boring gameplay makes you want to not play this game ever again.
No.
A ringing endorsement from Graham W.
Graham and I are usually on the same page, but I super disagree on this one.
He killed your game this week.
That's okay.
I endorse his killing of that game. That was
here's
funny.
the thing. Here's the awesome thing about ARG.
Yeah.
If you don't like a game, that's super awesome because we're never going to play it again, and we're going to move right on down the line.
Yeah, you're right there.
So
before we bid,
and it's cool to have differing opinions. I'm okay with that.
I don't. Everyone should agree with me. So before we move on from the Sword M5, I actually enjoyed the old M5. I got kind of a kick out of it. It's an interesting.
I loved
system.
learning what I learned.
I looked these up on the eBay, and there are some Sword M5s available if you've got the scratch. If you got the big money.
Yeah.
Now, no one really bought one of these recently, but I saw a couple for sale ranging from the $700 range going up into the $1,300 zone.
Wow.
This is a boxed gimmick. This was the full deal. So if you're interested in getting on board the Sword, and in Japan on their eBay, you can get some of this stuff. On American eBay, I didn't see jack squat for the Sword.
Oh yeah, of course.
A couple computers by some crazy people like us that were too stupid to say no. So, speaking of too stupid to say no, you have to be an idiot to randomly pick a system every week. But by God, let's do it again. Get the wheel, son. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Holy moly, turn that music down.
No, that's the way everyone wants to hear the music. Listen, It's a great
This-
song from a great show.
Aaron,
Yeah.
do you remember what we added to the wheel this week?
We added the Atari ST.
Now that's for the retro rewind
We
spot.
added another wacky system. I don't know where he gets his stuff. It's the, what is this thing? The Watana Supervision. It's the Watana Supervision.
Is that what we
Or
added?
Watara. It's Watara, my bad. Watara Supervision. That's what you added, man. By the way, look how uncolorful these are compared to boats. You suck. Blow it again. Okay, spin a sucker.
You know, when you spin it, it all looks beautiful.
Who knows what we're getting?
Uh-oh.
And the winner is
Uh-oh.
the
Tandy
Tandy
100.
Tandy Model 100. Wow. Brent, what do you know about that?
It's old.
There you go. So we're gonna get Randy and Danny with some Tandy. What? Come on. You put it on there, pal. You can't.
Oh.
You have to suck it up.
I'm going back to the Wonder Hole.
No. Listen, from whence you came. We would like to thank everybody that joined us live today in chat. We've actually had a show that didn't fall off a cliff. From a bandwidth perspective, you know, we've got a bunch of people in here. Boy, I'd love to be able to go back through. Oh, I guess I can. We got the Dunk, who's also responsible for our cool 3D maze-like Tron graphics. This guy keeps pumping out the gold,
Yes.
solid gold. We got Picard, Make It So. Make your show suck less. You're killing me. That show last night was killing me, Picard. We got L, Curtis. Boy, this guy's the master of the all games Coco. And I bet he knows something about the 100. I'm going to ask him. We got Barkbit, responsible for our super groovy outro music.
Yes, we need to find a way to let that thing run longer. I love that song.
Rushi, he managed to kick out this morning. He's up. We got the legendary guitarist from Hee Haw, Buck Owens, who set us up with a nice Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much, sir. We got Paul Kitching in here. Holy smokes. We got Amiga Bang. We got a lot of good folks. Did I miss anybody here? Brent, help me out.
Chat is an ever-scrolling thing.
It's scrolled off into the distance, but you're all fine folks, man. We appreciate it. Come on. Paul's telling me Picard's good. You kidding me? Get that out of here. So, Brent, tell the good folks, give them the big scoop. Where do they get this show? What are they doing? What's a good word?
All right. There's a few ways to watch us if you so incline. You can get us on Twitch at the channel.
Well, I gave you the big chance and you blew it.
Amigos Retro Gaming. You can get us. You can get us on YouTube. You can hook us up with with podcasting. Anchor FM. You can get our ARG Presents only channel, or you can subscribe to the entire Amigos network, which includes
the family of shows.
Like 80 shows now. I don't know what's going on.
Even Gorilla podcasts that just pop up. We've got a new Atari show. I didn't know we were doing it. It's up.
Next week,
yes,
Aaron.
Yes, sir.
I'll be introducing the first of the ARG merchandise.
Oh, I've heard that before.
No, it's happening.
Are you kidding me?
No, next week. I'm hoping to have a live specimen, but I don't know if it's going to get here.
selling livestock or something.
We are.
ARG roosters.
We're just painting your ugly mug on the side of a goat.
I like it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
What else
Anything
we got?
That's it.
That's it.
Now we're just killing time. Join us next week for some bizarre Tandy. What was it? The Tandy 100?
Tandy Model 100.
It's going to be another weird one, folks.
Oh, my gosh.
Thanks, everybody.
How are we going to emulate this thing?
We'll figure it out. Until next time, arrivederci.